Bueno, ya estamos aquí en un nuevo vídeo de esta serie, Blues and Bullets, que la habíamos dejado justo por aquí, que habíamos, si os acordáis, habíamos aceptado el trabajo que nos había encomendado Al Capone, antiguo capo de la mafia, y bueno, hemos aceptado el trabajo por los niños desaparecidos, más bien, para intentar resolver ese caso, pero digamos que el tío este de Al Capone nos había contratado porque su nieta, creo que era, había desaparecido, la habían raptado, lo que sea. Bueno, lo de los niños, lo que vimos en el primer episodio. Bueno, ya sabéis que estamos en el primer episodio de Blues and Bullets, pero este es el episodio 3 de nuestra serie y vamos a seguir por aquí. Que la hemos dejado justo después de aceptar el...
Protect us, fight to steal the last scraps of dignity we have left. And those who should judge them prefer to squabble over their prey.
Cómo mola la administración.
Always like this. The Santa Esperanza I was born in was a clean town. A place where it meant something to be a cop.
¿En serio? Hostia. Al Capone, ¿no? Y ahora estás trabajando para él. ¿Qué grillo te ha pegado? ¿Tú no sales? Mola cómo te presentan esto. Sí, bueno, pero bueno. Nosotros hemos aceptado el trabajo por resolver el caso este. No por que nos lo ha pedido Al Capone. No toques eso. Zumo. Nada de beber, hombre. Vamos a responder. A ver quién es.
Ness.
Eliot, I found Carlo Boccherini.
I knew you would, Alice.
Write this down. 31 Wicker Avenue in Lakeview.
Thanks. Nice work.
Eliot, what do you want with him? He's got a hell of a file.
Uf, tío... Bueno, esta chica es de la confianza de este tío, así que... no vamos a mentirla. Además nos está ayudando, así que...
I think he's mixed up in a kidnapping, but my client doesn't want the police involved.
What are you getting yourself into? Who's your client?
Alice, I don't have much time. I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks. Tomorrow's going to be a long, long day.
Ahí, por lo menos bebe zumo. Estás despejado, macho, porque si no... Nos dan un logro, viejo enemigo.
"31 Wicker Avenue. This is it."
You sure?
I'm sure.
At last. That stench of stale grease about you reminds me too much of my old job.
Aceite. Trabajo.
You worked as a waiter?
I was a chef, and not in any old kitchen. At the maximum security penitentiary on Gore Island. Can't think of a better way to do time. And how do you think I met Alphonse? Playing golf?
Alphonse?
On the subject of cooking, I know your blueberry pie had an extra something. I still don't know what.
Alphonse.
So what now? You got a plan?
Take a look around, in case there's a rear exit. I'll take the main door.
My pleasure.
Vale, contacta con Boccherini. O Boccherini, o como sea. Vale, aquí no podemos correr. Esto.
The fact that a criminal like him can hang up his shingle in broad daylight says a lot about Santa Esperanza.
Esto es un gnomo de jardín.
Interesting taste. Been centuries since a gardener visited this house. Maybe Boccherini's business isn't going too well.
Vale. No puedo correr ahora. Puerta o timbre. Pues que esto tampoco sé qué repercusiones tiene. No creo que tenga muchas, ¿no? Timbre. Vale, no
The
funciona.
bell doesn't work. I guess Boccherini doesn't get many visitors.
Suave de momento.
Boccherini? Carlo Boccherini?
Nothing of interest out back. Sorry. You better come see this, Mr. Ness.
¿Qué?
What is it?
I don't know how to describe it.
Joder, algo pasa ahí. Tenía mala pinta. De asesinato o algo. Hostia, están
Is
parados
that a
con...
man?
Boccherini.
My
Muerto.
God.
We have to find out who did this and why. Let's go.
You're the detective, Mr. Ness. Besides, Alphonse will want to see this. I'll be right back.
All right. I have to establish how Boccherini died. Maybe the body parts can shed some light on the motive.
Vale, esto es como una investigación. Resuelve la investigación del asesinato. Podemos ver el tablón. Y nos faltan como 2 pistas, ¿no? Para ir... Vale. Tenemos que ir buscando, supongo, pistas. A ver esto.
Takes a strong man to tear that out. Or several.
Nueva pista. ¿Podemos hacer algo con las pistas?
The lamp. Torn off its brackets and blocking the stairs.
Ah, a lo mejor podemos... No me deja colocar la pista. Claro, tenemos que buscar a lo mejor pistas más convincentes.
Holy Christ, what the hell are we up against?
Madre mía. Hostia, podemos ver cosas.
His eyes were pulled clean out of their sockets. Whoever did this, it wasn't their first time. And if they committed any other murders like this, it's likely that the police found some of the bodies. I must remember to ask Alice.
Vale,
His teeth were
boca,
all pulled out before he was killed.
los dientes.
The buildup of blood inside his mouth speaks for itself.
Uy, es que vaya destrozo, tío. Vale, nueva pista. Vale, y nada más. Es un cuadro pequeño. Vale, tenemos otra pista.
Boccherini's teeth were all pulled out.
Esta sí parece que es relevante. Bueno, importante. Vamos a mirar por aquí, a ver.
The blood comes from the other side of the corridor and ends next to the body. He was attacked in the other room and dragged to the hall.
Nueva pista. Joder, es que tenemos un huevo de pistas.
The trail of blood from the dining room to the hall.
Vamos, que primero le mataron aquí, ¿no? En el... Vale, esta parece que no es importante. Y luego la arrastraron y le empalaron aquí, supongo. Para que el asesino se diera cuenta, como un modo de... que sé, de presentación de... yo qué sé.
The evidence suggests that the events began in the lounge. How did Boccherini encounter his murderer?
Madre mía, se nos abre más.
The trail of blood from the dining room to the hall.
Vale, lo voy a probar.
Torn off its brackets.
No. Vale, vamos a buscar. Vale.
Whatever crushed the table must have been really heavy. Or maybe it was thrown extremely hard.
Sí, vamos, que aquí se lió bastante. No, creo que no hay nada más. Una cuchara. Un reloj.
Did it break during the struggle, or was it already broken?
¿Qué más da eso, no? Ah, se le soltó a alguien, a lo mejor.
Blood everywhere. What kind of person takes off a wristwatch without unfastening it? Or fastens the strap again after taking it off?
Se le cayó a alguien, a lo mejor al asesino. En la trifulca, en el asalto.
A blood-stained wristwatch with the glass broken and the strap fastened.
Tampoco. De este.
A blood-stained wristwatch.
No. Claro, puede ser del asesino del tío este que está muerto.
This was opened recently.
O sea, que estaba bebiendo.
Smells of whiskey.
Estaba bebiendo. ¿Y se fue por la ventana? ¿O entró por la
Glass on the
ventana?
floor indicates the window was broken from outside.
Claro, porque los cristales están aquí. Entraron desde la ventana. Aquí hay una
Something under
pistola.
there. How did it wind up under there?
Está cargada.
Not one round fired. It must have happened fast.
Claro, a lo mejor no... Bueno, a lo mejor no. Es que parece que no ha disparado. Así que... no ha usado armas. Vale, y esto...
What is it with Italians and olives? They lap those things up like caviar.
Vale. Es que aquí no hay nada más. Ah, vale, que podemos
Like a
movernos
true
alrededor.
bachelor, he should have put these into soak. Hours of scraping to get them clean. Although at this stage, I don't think Boccherini's too worried about that. 4 glasses. 2 of water, 2 of wine.
2 de agua, 2 de vino.
I've always been a whiskey man, but I know a good wine when I see one.
Tarta.
Leftover lasagna.
Ah,
And
lasaña.
it looks good. Why is it that 2 out of 3 Italian gangsters are great cooks? I'll never understand what the deal is with them in cooking. The plates and the glasses leave no room for doubt. Boccherini had company for dinner.
Sí, eso sí. Invitado. A ver, vamos a ver qué tenemos.
Pieces of glass from the window in the hall, found inside the house.
Ah, esta sí.
A
Sí, no
pistol,
entró.
fully loaded.
Se supone que tuvo una pistola pero no la usó. Ahí está.
Dirty
Y que tuvo un
plates,
invitado.
glasses, and silverware
El
from
tío
a
este.
dinner for 2.
Vale, pero esto no.
A broken whiskey glass found in the dining room.
Esto tampoco creo que tenga relevancia y esto tampoco, ¿no? Ah, sí.
I'd say Boccherini was drinking in the dining room when his assailant burst in through the window. Boccherini pulled his gun, but the murderer disarmed him before he could shoot. Where did the torture begin?
Tortura. Empezó
The trail of blood from the dining room to the hall. The lamp, torn off it.
No.
A blood-stained wristwatch with the glass broken and the strap fastened.
Hombre,
A broken
tortura
whiskey
con...
glass found in the dining room.
Esto
Dirty
no.
plates, glasses.
Vale. Bueno, está chulo este modo de detective. Vamos hilando casos. Bueno, casos, pistas. Y falta uno.
One knife's missing, the biggest one.
Bueno, vamos a seguir investigando por aquí.
Shut from the inside.
Cerrada desde dentro. ¿Esto qué tiene que ver?
The door in the kitchen, locked from the inside.
Vale, tenemos que volver sobre nuestros pasos. A ver si conseguimos resolver algo de aquí. Esto ya lo hemos visto, ¿no? Ah, claro, pero puedo mover la cámara. Claro, yo con esto no había contado. Que puedo mover la cámara. Aquí.
A perfectly circular dent, as if someone had tried to hammer in a gigantic bolt, around 4 inches in diameter. Blood ran like water.
Sí, mucha sangre. Nos falta una pista de aquí. Marcas.
Fingernails scratched the wood. Two pools of blood, one on either side of the dining room table. A broken table, scratched and covered in blood. The bloodstains show that the murderer began to torture Boccherini on the dining table itself. That was where his hands were torn off. As a result, his wristwatch fell to the ground. How did the body reach its current position?
Claro.
The trail of blood from the dining room to the hall.
Arrastrándolo.
The lamp, torn off its brackets and blocking the stairs. Boccherini, already minus hands, was dragged into the hall, where the murderer used the brackets of the lamp to complete his macabre diorama.
Vale, aquí ya no sale más. Vamos a ver lo de la mutilación, porque nos queda aquí algo. No quiero que se nos pase nada. Claro, es que podemos mover la cámara. Eso no lo había tenido yo en cuenta. Creía que solo nos dejaba un cuadro pequeño para interactuar.
Because he'd almost passed for a tree. There's no doubt the murderer took his time.
Vale, aquí vemos que le cortaron las manos.
This isn't a cut, it's a tear. His hands were ripped off. Who has that kind of strength?
Madre mía, se la han arrancado. A ver, vamos para la derecha a ver si vemos algo. No, en la derecha no hay nada más. ¿Y esto?
Once he got stuck in there, looks like the bottom of a glass. It's Boccherini, no doubt about that. Although the one I remember was more together.
Mutilación.
The murderer tore Boccherini's hands off.
Nos faltaba esta.
Hands ripped off, teeth torn out. I guess I'll have to rule out criminal intent or a personal angle. Boccherini's eyes still haven't shown up. What if I look for whatever was used to remove them?
Se lo sacaron con... ¿Con qué se lo sacaron? Los ojos.
What looks like the bottom of a broken glass buried in Boccherini's back.
No. ¿Con qué se lo clavaron?
A broken whiskey glass found in the dining room.
Vale, hay que buscar con qué le quitaron los ojos. Mira, por aquí sigue la sangre. A ver si encontramos más. Eso también está cerrado.
Maybe between the two of us when Milton gets back. If I'm not mistaken, this door opens onto the same room as the locked door in the kitchen.
Vale, importante. Nueva pista. La puerta cerrada que era la...
jammed shut. It opens onto the same room as the locked door in the kitchen.
Vale. Ah, pues se lo sacaron con esto. Una cuchara.
Some kind of sticky liquid.
Líquido del ojo. Ya está. Es líquido del ojo. Se lo sacaron con una cuchara.
Stained with blood and some kind of sticky liquid. The mixture of sticky liquid and blood can only mean one thing. The spoon was used to remove Boccherini's eyes. The mutilations and the disappearance of his eyes suggest two possible motives. Psychopathy or cultist fanaticism.
Hombre.
Which is it?
Yo qué sé. Motivo.
What looks
Eso
like
este no tiene nada que ver.
broken...
No. Vamos a seguir viendo por aquí.
Oh shit. I should have stayed in my diner.
¿Qué cojones es esto? Madre mía.
Are these teeth from the body? Well, at least I know why his teeth were pulled out, more or less.
¿Para qué coño le quitó los dientes, tío?
A sick altar of human flesh.
Vale, pero ¿qué tiene que ver esto?
What is that?
Un símbolo.
Some kind of symbol drawn in blood.
¿Tiene que ver algo con el motivo? Sí.
Although I don't know the origin of the symbol in the bathroom and the altar of flesh and teeth, I'd say the motive was some kind of occult religion. The big question is, who did it?
Religión oculista. ¿Pero qué?
Looks like a ritual. What was Boccherini mixed up in?
Vale, aquí nada más. Vamos a ver por aquí. A ver por aquí. Nada. Coche al garaje.
This car looks too classy for a forger like Boccherini. Are there sufficient reasons to believe that when the murderer attacked Boccherini, there was someone else in the house?
Sí, porque
The first
estaba
possibility to be
comiendo y
ruled out is
cenando.
that the car belonged to Boccherini. Dirty
Está
plates,
cenando.
glasses, and silverware from a dinner for two.
Ah, no, no vale. Bueno, supongo que esto... Ahora hay que investigar por aquí.
Vermont plates. Someone drove a long way.
deberemos.
A car with Vermont plates.
Vale. Desde un sitio de lejos. Una visita a lo mejor. De alguien. A lo mejor una chica. Estaban tomando vino.
Let's take a look in the glove compartment. Bingo. A man's cigarette case.
Una pitillera. Un cigarro. Bueno, dos.
OB. One of the Boccherini clan?
OB. Lo que fumaba
The
en el
initials
coche.
OB on a cigarette case. 1. It has Vermont plates. 2. It's too luxurious for a criminal of his standing. 3. The initials on the cigarette case don't match his name. The next possibility that needs to be ruled out is that the car was stolen. There should be evidence that there was someone else in the house.
Más evidencias de que hubo
Dirty
vino.
plates, glasses, and silverware from a dinner. The dirty dishes and glasses prove that Boccherini ate lasagna with one other person.
Claro.
Was Boccherini's guest still in the house when the murderer showed up?
Testigo.
A
Esto no
broken
creo que
whiskey
tenga nada.
glass found in the dining room.
Ah, sí. Botella rota.
A door in the kitchen.
No, esto,
What looks like
esto
the bottom
tampoco.
of a broken
Esto sí.
glass. It seems clear that Boccherini and his guest were drinking when the murderer took them by surprise. The real
Claro,
question
por eso
is,
estaba donde
what
la
happened
mesa,
to the
¿no?
witness? Did they escape? Did the murderer take them? Or are they still in the house? A
Joder,
door
está
in the
encerrado
kitchen, locked from the
el
inside.
invitado
It
dentro de
opens
aquí.
onto the same room as the jammed door in the corridor. A door in the corridor jammed shut. It opens onto the same room as the locked door in the kitchen. One locked door could be a coincidence, but two locked doors which open onto the same room
Claro, hay algo ahí
can't be.
dentro. A lo mejor está
Either
el
I'm
tío ese.
completely wrong,
Bueno, el
or the
invitado.
witness is in that room. But I need Milton to open one of those doors.
Vale, cuidado.
Mr. Ness, can you open the door for me?
Vaya susto le has pegado al pobre Eliot, macho.
It was open. Why did you ring?
I thought I should use the doorbell so I wouldn't startle you.
When I came in, I pressed the doorbell and it didn't work.
Well, in light of the facts, I deduced that it was your finger that wasn't working. So,
Tío, ¿por qué coño
what
sabe
can you
que
tell me to restore
cómo
my faith
funciona
in you
el
as a
timbre?
detective?
What is that?
Not a good start. It's a camera, so Alphonse can see all this.
All right. Follow me. Boccherini had company for dinner. Someone from Vermont with the initials OB. Someone whose social status was a lot higher, but who was on the same side of the law. He served lasagna, and after clearing away the dishes, they opened a bottle of whiskey in the dining room. That was when the murderer burst in on them, coming through the window which he broke with his own body weight. Boccherini, or maybe his guest, pulled a gun, but it was a waste of time. The murderer was so fast he was disarmed before he could fire. He focused his attention on Boccherini, totally ignoring the guest, and lifted him up into the air. He then threw him against the dining room table so hard that one of the glasses of whiskey was embedded in Boccherini's back. He span around, clawing at the table, and immediately afterwards the murderer ripped off his hands. I have no idea how he did it, but all the evidence suggests he just pulled. Blood sprayed everywhere. The wristwatch fell to the ground. He dragged him through the corridor into the hall. He tore down the lamp, hung him from the brackets, and stabbed steel rods through his body. He skewered him on the iron bars, possibly taken from the fence outside, and pulled out his teeth one by one. Finally, he scooped out his eyes with a teaspoon. Boccherini must have been dead when the murderer went to the bathroom with his hands in his teeth. There, he arranged them to make an altar, weaving the fingers together and placing the teeth inside. Next, he painted something on the wall in blood, a symbol which I don't recognize, but which could have some kind of ritualistic significance. When he'd finished his artwork, he left. I don't know what he did with the eyes.
You're telling me that someone did all this armed with a teaspoon?
More or less.
Y un tío que tiene mucha
You
fuerza.
worked all this out on your own, just by looking.
More or less.
I don't know which of the two of you scares me more. Wait a second. What about the guest?
Right. Come with me.
Venga, abre la puerta, que tú tienes fuerza. Machote.
Nothing.
Turns out Mr. Untouchable isn't infallible. But you were close. Congratulations.
This must be Boccherini's office. Let's take a quick look around.
All yours.
Vale. Buscar alguna pista en el despacho. Pero bueno, ¿qué parece si lo dejamos por aquí? Ya llevamos un ratillo. Y no sé cuánto durará este primer episodio. Supongo que creo que rondaba las 2 o 3 horas. Que está bastante bien para ser un episodio. Así que nada. Oye, yo me lo estoy pasando muy bien. Está chulo también como vamos hilando pistas. Vamos cogiendo, encajándolas en su sitio correspondiente. Y vamos resolviendo pues el asesinato o lo que sea. Así que nada, seguiremos investigando más adelante en el próximo episodio, que ya quedará poco. Así que nada, nos vemos en el próximo vídeo. Hasta la próxima.